Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Amanda Lee. I am going to be sharing with you several tips and tricks that I feel like will be useful to one, those interested in becoming Instacart shoppers, or two, those who already are Instacart shoppers and like to be the best they can be. So let's get into this list. I have organized it by the process of completing an Instacart batch. So I'll list it as I read them. 1, selecting orders. 2, before shopping your batch. 3, beginning your batch. 4, during your batch. 5, checking out. 6, making the delivery. And 7, after the batch is complete. Then at the very end, I'll include some general advice / tips. So let's get into selecting your orders. First tip, Instacart has an algorithm. This means the orders you select and the price points you select impact the orders that are shown later on. So really work to not select any orders that are below a certain price point, whatever's comfortable for you. For me, I try to not select any orders under $23. That's very specific, but I found that that really opens up the door for me to get more orders that are $30 to $40 to sometimes $50. When it comes to this algorithm, make sure you give it 1 to 3 days of consistent selection. That means make sure you're selecting batches above your price point for 1 to 3 days consistently for your Instacart app to reset its algorithm and start showing up with some better orders for you. Next, drive to a nice area before beginning to even browse your batches. This has been so impactful to me, and I know a lot of people aren't able to do this depending on the gas mileage in the car you're using, but luckily for me, I have really good mileage, so I'll drive to the snazzier parts of town that I know have higher income, and they usually tend to tip better. So if you're able to, go on a drive, get some Starbucks. Speaking of which, I am sipping on 4 shots of espresso, and I added my own matcha with maple syrup and almond milk. Oh, it's so good. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're stepping into before shopping your batch. Before shopping your batch, browse items / familiarize yourself with the items that you're going to be shopping for. This has been a game changer for me in my Instacart times. Instacart does give you a small time interval, and it will say that you need to get the batch done before then, but don't pay too much mind to that. You aren't going to get in any kind of trouble as far as I know. I don't go over that number consistently, but you shouldn't get in too much trouble if you take a little bit more time than what is allotted in the app. Although, by browsing and familiarizing yourself with the groceries you're going to be getting before going into the store, say you get to the store and you're just sitting in the app and you're just looking at what you're going to buy, that will make the process so much faster, especially if you are at a store that you recognize and that you know the aisles. Next, check for your Instacart card. Please, if you do not go shop at a store that accepts Apple Pay, for example, Kroger's, they don't accept Apple Pay. Instacart does provide an Apple Pay card, but do not rely on that because so many stores do not accept anything aside from the Instacart debit / credit card. So before you go into a store, be sure that they either accept the Apple Pay card or you have your shopper card in hand. Next, make sure you greet the customer. This is not required. You don't have to say anything whenever you show up to the store. Instacart does notify them when you begin your shopping, but I like to just reach out, give a quick message, say, hey, I'm Amanda. I'm really excited to be shopping for you today. I'll be sure to reach out if I find any discrepancies in the order. This creates, 1, a sense of safety with the customer. I'm not sure if that's the best way to put it, but they feel like they can rely on you more. And 2, it makes you as a shopper way more personable because remember, there are a lot of people doing this for very, very wealthy people as personal shoppers. The only difference here is you are going through a third party to shop for this person. So treat them like you're their personal shopper because in a way you kind of are. Moving on to beginning your batch. First, start with produce, deli, and bakery. These sections of the grocery store. 1, they're all typically together. They're very near each other in almost every grocery store I've been to. 2, Instacart does show you all of these items before they'll show you any of the items that are through the aisles. So that's really, really helpful. Tip number 2, scroll to the bottom of your list in the app before moving on from the produce, deli or bakery sections because Oftentimes, I have found that a customer who has ordered a lot of baked goods or produce especially, some of their items will fall out of the produce, deli, and bakery sections. You know how I said that it'll give you a list and it'll typically put these at the very top? Sometimes some of these items go astray and they fall to the very bottom of the list. It's a little glitch in the app. It might be changed soon, but be sure you are scrolling all the way down before moving on from these areas, because nothing is more frustrating than getting through every item you have and then realizing you have to go to the very other end of the store because somebody wanted some croissants and you forgot to pick them up from the bakery. Next tip is something I've encountered a few times, even throughout the Instacart app updates. If an aisle number is not listed in the app with the item, for example, an item will typically be under something, it'll say aisle 6, and it'll give you all of the items in aisle 6. Sometimes it won't give you an aisle number. So to fix this, 1, close your app. 2, reopen the app. Closing the app does not take away from your order. It will still be there when you get there. So once you've closed the app, reopened the app, and then select current order. It'll be in one of the settings options and you'll go right back to the batch that you were working on. Don't be afraid to restart your app if you have to during a grocery trip. I know it's been very intimidating for me the first few times because I don't want to lose out on the money, and if you're already halfway through a batch, it can be really scary. So I promise it won't do anything. Just close it out, restart it, and you should be good to go. Next, we're going to talk about tips for during your batch. First, use earbuds if you'd like to. If it doesn't stress you out not having complete awareness of all your surroundings, maybe just use one if it does. But this makes the process go by so much faster, and it's super enjoyable. Imagine going into your 9 to 5 and getting to choose the music that's played every day and being able to silence everyone around you by putting in a simple earbud. You have that luxury being an Instacart shopper, so that's really nice. Next, if you need to replace an item with no suggested replacement, reach out, message that customer. That goes back into, we want to message them when we first get there to be personable. That takes away from some of the anger that might arise whenever somebody has to replace an item that they really, really wanted from a grocery store. So just message them, say, hey, Mr. Dave, I want to apologize, but they are out of this item. I noticed that there's not a selected replacement, so I wanted to reach out and ask, what would you like? If nothing works, would you like a refund? That's along the lines of typically what I would say. Customers usually aren't too mad and they'll tell you straight up if they want a refund. So it's a pretty nice experience all the way around. Next, compliment a freaking stranger. This might sound so uncomfortable for so many people, and if you are really, really, really anxious in public, then don't do this because it might make it a more uncomfortable experience. But for me, I am a talker, and so whenever I just compliment somebody's grandma that's going through that had a beautiful bonnet on that I know that nobody has said anything about that day, when you see somebody's eyes light up that way, it's kind of like when you're working in customer service and your favorite customer comes in, but that feeling comes out of a total stranger. So spread some kindness and it'll kind of bring up your mood as well. It'll move the process along too. Then don't be afraid to ask employees where items are. Oh my gosh, this is one of the things that helped me so much when it came to saving time. I used to be so stubborn in the very beginning. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was really taking advantage of that earbud thing I was talking about and just avoiding anybody, whether it was a worker or whether it was somebody in the store shopping. I just want to address though that technically those workers are your co-workers. They are stocking the produce. They're stocking the items that you are bringing to your customers. So treat them as such. I promise you're going to be going to several stores. So talking to these people may prove beneficial later down the line, and you might make a new friend, especially if they recognize you later on. That's always a fun experience. Next, don't apologize for taking up space. We all deserve to take up space, and we have all been in that position where you feel so awkward, where somebody's waiting behind you and you feel pressured to get the item you need. Don't just move out of the way, and don't apologize. You do not have to apologize for taking up space in that grocery store. It is a public place, and this will create so much anxiety for you if you continue to apologize. Mind you, this is a skill that takes time to master because a lot of us are profusely apologizing when we don't need to be. But I have realized that creates so much anxiety going into these stores, and it has really helped my confidence to realize that you know, just like them, I'm allowed to stand in front of the canned beans for 5 to 10 minutes. I can be that person. If an 80-year-old was doing that, would you yell at them? Would you be angry? No, act like you are that 80-year-old. Have the confidence of that 80-year-old, because you deserve to take up space and you deserve to stand in there until you have figured out what the heck it is that you're trying to grab. Now we're gonna talk about tips for checking out. First, wait for the app. Is it an online order, or are you gonna swipe your card? Is it a debit order, or is it a credit order? All of these things are listed in the checkout process of the app. So before you go into any lane, because with online orders, remember, you can't use the self-checkout before you even step into line. Check the checkout section of your Instacart app and wait for it to load, because that will give you all the information you need to just have a smooth, crisp, and clean checkout. Next tip, use the self-checkout if you can. Some stores do not like whenever you do this, and I'll be honest, I can tell when a store doesn't like me whenever I do this. Typically not the store, but the employee themselves. But many of them don't mind. More often than not, I do use the self-checkout, and it is not said that you cannot, although several people will. If somebody has a real problem, they will come up and they will tell you, we prefer you use this lane. But it has saved me, one, a lot of time by waiting in lines versus going to the self-checkout. Two, a lot of anxiety, because I really stress out when it comes to having somebody else scan the order, because I went ahead and bought this order for somebody else. It's not like I'm watching them, and it can just be a whole complex process. So if you can, use the self-checkout. Last, always, always, always take the receipt. Instacart will either ask you to take a photo of the receipt after you've gone through the order, or they'll just say keep the receipt. So I like to keep a little garbage bag. I drive a stick shift, so I like to loop it around my little stick shift, and I'll put the receipts in there if I don't have to take pictures of them. And then after I do take pictures, if I do need to, I'll go ahead and put them in that thing as well. Although I will say, some people have asked, can you use these receipts for points at allocated locations or allocated stores? I have no idea. That feels a little slimy to me. I don't want to use somebody else's money to get myself some points, but if you find an ethical way to do that for a store, you go for it. You do it, unless you're not allowed to, and Instacart changes that one day. Instacart, if you're watching this, please don't deactivate me. They're dropping like flies. I'm a good one, I swear. Now we're going to talk about making the delivery. First, organize the order in your car. A lot of times a batch will come with 2 orders and 2 deliveries. So I like to take delivery A and I'll put it in my seat if it's small enough, and then delivery B I'll put on my floorboard in front of that. And if I'm lucky enough to have a C, I'll put that one in the back seat of my car. Back seat of my car. Okay, anyways. Next tip, buckle up your groceries. Now, some of you may be saying, Amanda, that seems really extra. I'll tell you right now, it is. It's very extra. That's the point. When you show up at your customer's door and they see you unbuckle their groceries, Tip City, I'm so serious. People see you take that kind of care and they are so impressed because it's very extra. So buckle up your groceries. Before you drive away from the store, however, make sure you message the customer to let them know you're about to head their way, or to let them know that maybe it's delivery B and you have one delivery before them, just so they know, what's going on. Keeping customers informed this way makes customers feel seen, and that is the most important thing in customer service. You can't tell that I'm about to graduate with a degree in human resources, can you? But imagine you're working a regular customer service job, right? Say you work at a juice bar like I did, and somebody would come in, you're just slammed, you're so busy. Say you're the customer walking in. If you walk in and it's silent, you just see those people working, it feels a little weird, a little tense, a little awkward. But if you come in and you hear someone say, "Hi, welcome to such and such, we'll be with you in just a minute," that customer is going to sit back, they'll look at the menu, they'll wait patiently, and they won't feel as awkward about it because you've addressed them. They feel seen, they know they'll be addressed eventually. So it's the same way with your Instacart. Make sure you reach out to them so they just know that you're on the way. And brownie points for your customer. Always shoot for the brownie points. While you're driving, make sure you are keeping a distance between cars. I know it's so easy to get caught up in, oh, I can't believe they're not going very fast, and before you realize it, you're tailgating somebody without meaning to tailgate, and they slam on their brakes because it's trafficy and someone in front of them did. You might not hit the car, well, hopefully you don't, but your groceries will be flying. Even if you buckled them up, they will go straight forward. And the last thing you need is somebody's carton of eggs flying in front of your seat into somebody else's order. Then you got egg yolk on order B, and then you got eggs that are no longer sustainable for order A. I don't even know what that, you know what I'm saying though. Just make sure you're keeping at least 1 to 2, maybe even 3 cars spaces in between you and the person in front of you. Do not always ring the doorbell or knock on the door whenever you show up to a customer's home. A lot of customers will even specify in their requests or special requests that they do not want you to knock or ring the doorbell for whatever reason. They have loud dogs, their baby is asleep. Just don't always get into a habit of knocking or ringing the bell. Next tip, do not linger outside of somebody's home or apartment complex while you're browsing for batches. I promise you there is nothing more uncomfortable than somebody seeing your groceries outside of their door and waiting for your car to pull away. Go ahead and just leave. As soon as you drop it off, as soon as you say delivery complete, drive away, go into some random parking lot nearby that's a public space, go park at a park and browse for more batches. Just don't do it in front of somebody's home. Biggest piece of advice for this section: be humble, make 2 trips if you need to. These are not our groceries. You've all been in that position where you've dropped a bag or 2 on your own for your own groceries, but it's not a big deal because they're your bags and you just wanted to get them all in. And even if they're at the bottom of the steps, falling out of the bag, they're your groceries and you just walk outside. That's still closer than your car, right? Not in this situation. These are not your groceries. I'll repeat, these are not your groceries. The last thing you need is to drop someone's soda bottle and have it shake up before they go inside. They're not gonna know. They're not gonna know to not open that. They're not your groceries. So just be very careful, take as many trips as you need, and humble yourself. Humble yourself. Moving on to tips for after the batch is complete. First, think of your why to avoid feeling discouraged. A lot of times I've noticed that I might not feel as discouraged as I will feel maybe overworked by myself, or maybe I didn't expect there to be 32 cases of water in an order. So don't let a huge difficult order discourage you. And if you struggle with that, remind yourself that you are your why and you are worth this hard work. Last tip for this section is wait 30 to 45 minutes before you check your earnings for a batch. Instacart has a small section in the app where it's a $sign and it'll say earnings. You click on that and it'll tell you how much you've made. This does not update as soon as you have swiped complete delivery. It will update 30 to, again, 45 minutes after you finish the delivery, and even then, only a certain amount is allotted for you to be able to take out right then and there. Instacart gives the customer 24 hours to change their tip if they need to, so that's the reason that you're not able to take all of it out, but you still will be able to see all of it on your account after 30 to 45 minutes of completing the batch. I know for me, I panicked the first time I did. I finished a batch because I looked right at my earnings. I was so excited and it said 0 and I was terrified. I thought I did something wrong. I thought I had just done something and I was about to get deactivated. So just give it the 30-45 minutes before you start panicking. I promise it will show up. Now I'm gonna give you guys some general advice / tips that I just feel like are pretty nifty. First, eat before you start shopping. You know how I mentioned that 3-pack of 32 waters? That is a real scenario. Imagine if you get that order at 9 a.m. and you haven't had any breakfast. You are going to 1, pass out, or 2, be very, very hangry. Nobody should Instacart without having something on their stomach. And ladies, iced coffee does not count as food. Let me say it again. Iced coffee does not count as food. Your morning coffee should be accompanied by a breakfast sandwich or something. Just make sure you fuel your body. Next, buy a car charger. Oh my gosh. If I did not have a car charger, do you know how many Instacart batches I would have missed out on? Do not go without a car charger if you are Instacarting full time or if you are dedicating a whole day to Instacarting. You will be so frustrated with having to go back, and by the time you go back, you remember how we were talking about feeling discouraged? When you get back to your house, you're gonna be so discouraged. You're gonna see that couch, you've already done an order, you'll wanna sit down. So make sure you buy a car charger to keep your motivation up and to keep that battery going. Next, so important, start an Instacart tax envelope. If you make $600 or more on Instacart, you will be required to file taxes. Do not let this intimidate you. It's not as scary as it seems. I'm only 21, just turned 21, and I had to pay taxes for Instacart for the very first time this year. I made another video about it. I'll put it up here somewhere in the link in the description, but it is not as intimidating as it seems. The only thing I wish I would have done that would have made the process less expensive would have been to start a tax envelope. In this tax envelope, you can keep things like the receipts for the snacks you buy or the iced coffee and breakfast sandwich you get before Instacarting. You can keep gas receipts for whenever you're Instacarting and have to fill your tank up. You can keep every receipt in the world that has to do your car charger, that car charger we're talking about buying. Put that receipt in there. There are so many things that you can take away from what you have to pay at the end of the year, and it's absolutely worth it in the long run. I just keep mine in a little envelope in my side pouch on my car. You know what I'm talking about. And as soon as I have a receipt, I just put it right in there. It is now a habit for me. Next tip, some people might not be able to do, and I totally understand, but Instacart and some Heelys, y'all. My boyfriend found me a pair of Heelys in the grocery store. Oh, you know you're an Instacarter when he found me a pair of Heelys in the thrift store, and when I tell you, it is so much more fun when you're rolling around with that buggy too. Like, that buggy has wheels and you have wheels. You are a 6-wheeled buggy. It makes it so fun, y'all. So just, if you can, get yourself a pair of Heelys and wheel around. Although I will say, if you're Instacarting all day, along with your car charger, bring a change of shoes, because Heelys have the word heel in them for a reason. They will make your feet really sore when you're walking and delivering all day. Also, be careful when delivering things like the 32 packs of water, because if you slide backwards and that lands on your chest, you are gonna have the wind knocked out of you, and talk about being discouraged. Next, very important, drink your water. Back to the point of passing out. It is so easy to underestimate the amount of work you're going to be doing a day for Instacart. So just make sure you get a big old water bottle. Get something like that and just keep it with you in your car and sip on it throughout the day. Yes, you'll have to pee in a public bathroom, like a Publix bathroom, maybe a Kroger bathroom, but it is absolutely worth it, because again, we are out here to make money, and you can't make money if you're passing out or feeling fatigued. Next piece of advice is keep car snacks. I need to get on this train, because remember the Instacart envelope we were talking about? You can put your snacks that you keep in your car in that envelope. So get some snacks to keep in your car for when you start feeling a little fatigued, start feeling a little hungry. I promise it makes the entire experience so much more enjoyable. Then last but not least, do not overwork yourself. Please, it is so easy with things like this to get so excited whenever you see all the money you can make, and especially if you're a grocery store nerd like me, you're just excited to go to maybe a fancy organic store like Sprouts. That is very exciting, and seeing how quickly you can make some of this money. Sometimes I've made about $70 was the highest number highest monetary number, however you say it, highest value batch that I have gotten thus far in my Instacart journey, and it took me less than 2 hours to complete. That's good money. It can be very addicting, especially for us young entrepreneurs. So don't get money hungry. Make sure you stay consistent. Just like the gym, it's not about you doing so much that day. It's about you doing a lot consistently, but not wearing yourself out so much so that you don't want to go back. So set yourself a number goal and then stick with that every single day. And I promise you will do so much better than if you just ride this high of, oh, I'm gonna make all this money today, and then you're gonna be really tired tomorrow and you're not gonna wanna do it again. Give yourself a limit and then relax after you've made that money. You deserve it, girl. We are all out here grinding on this side hustle. And for me right now, it is full time. Somebody asked me a question on TikTok. Right here's my TikTok. They asked if you can do Instacart full time. Heck, I do. I do Instacart full time. I love it, and I'm in college, as I've mentioned before, and it is the perfect job for me. So I hope this video has helped at least some people. Drop a comment below if you have any more questions, or if this video helped you at all. I want to make sure that I am making my content, one, for my 80-year-old self, so she can look back and be real proud and remember everything she's done, but two, to really help as many people as I can. And I really appreciate all of your support when it comes to these Instacart videos, and it seems like these are so far the best outlets I have to help you guys. So anything you would like to know, go ahead and drop it in the comments and I will do my darndest to respond. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you would like to see next. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Good day. Have a good day.